Morning all, and what an absolutely stunning morning it is. Now I have a list of jobs a mile long to be done around the house today, but by sheer good fortune my beloved wife has just come to me to explain that there might not be enough milk in the fridge for the kids to have their breakfast. So the type of guy I am, I said, fear not darling, I'll go to the shop straight away for you. What she doesn't know is that I might not be back for some considerable time.
Yes, spring is around the corner. Winter seems a thing of the very distant past when you're on a bike on a morning like this. Unfortunately, the pandemic isn't a thing of the distant past yet, so I still have to stay within 5k of where I live. But hey, that's not a problem, because if you've seen on my previous videos, the roads around here, living where I live in this part of beautiful Ireland, the roads are like a playground if you've got a motorbike. Still fairly slippy as well. So we've had a lot of rain as usual. What's the time there? Can you see the time? Yeah, just turned 8:30 in the morning. Oh wow, what a beautiful morning to be out. I've put the windscreen down on the motorbike just so you can get a better view of the roads, but it has increased the wind noise a little bit inside the helmet. I'll show you the difference actually. I'll just be quiet and let you see the wind noise, the difference when the screen goes up. So as you can tell, there's hardly any wind noise there, and I'm going to put the screen back down because I do think it's better for the actual camera angle. I'm sure you've noticed the increase in the wind noise. Anyway, it doesn't matter, as long as it doesn't affect your watching and your viewing. One thing I noticed before I put this bike away for the winter is that it needs new tyres. Well, actually I'm saying that it doesn't need either tyre, but I would like to get a new rear tyre. I'm running the Pilot Road 4s. Oh, they're just incredible. I absolutely love them. They instill you with so much confidence. I think this bike really suits the Road 4s, so I'm going to be going for the same again. But the rear tyre, and if I come to a stop anywhere on the trip this morning, I'll show you what I mean on the rear tyre. It's just gone that bit flat in the centre, and you can tell when you're flicking it around on these twisties. You can just tell that it's a little bit twitchy. It doesn't want to lean over, it just wants to sit on the flat bit of the rear tyre. So that's the first thing I'll be getting done before I head off on any sort of tour or weekend away on this bike. Well, as soon as the pandemic is lifted, you know. And I've got some great trips planned. Actually, the first one I'm going to do is the Northern Irish Causeway coastal route. I've done it many a time in the car, never on a bike. I know a lot of bikers have done it, but I have a few tricks up my sleeve for my own route and my own journey around there. Look how slippy the roads look here. I'll take it handy all the same. Good bit of traffic out for this time in the morning, unless they're all going to get milk. The sun is blinding. I love the helmet I'm wearing, which is the Shoei GTR 2 with the built-in sun visor. I think most helmets have that these days, but I'd be definitely one of those riders who would, without doubt, forget to take my sunglasses and be blinded for the rest of the trip if I didn't have the flick down sun visor. I've just put that screen up again because even as I'm talking, the wind noise is quite noticeable. I hope the screen doesn't distract your viewing too much of this incredible countryside. I wasn't planning on this today, I'll be honest. That's the thing. I'm sure you can all relate. Doesn't matter what you've got on. When you've got a day off, and the weather turns out like this and you've got a motorbike sitting in your garage, off you go. Now fortunately I've got a very understanding wife, because she's into the old horse riding, so she'd be pretty much the same. So if she gives out to me, then I can give out to her. So I think over the years we've just realised it's probably best to cancel each other out. I'm sure she knew this morning as soon as I woke up what my plan of action was going to be. Look at these roads. It's a few months since I've been on this bike, so I'm just going to build up the confidence again, I'll be honest with you. There's no rush. Definitely not when you're riding through scenery like this anyway. But I'm aware constantly of the potholes, and I'm sure you are after watching my recent videos of my lockdown spins. It's funny, it does take you a bit of time to get used to the steering, well, to get used to the bike I suppose, when you haven't ridden this particular one in a while. I've got my Touratech gel seat pad on. As you all know, if you've been following me from the beginning on this channel, I've never been a fan of the stock seat on this bike. So you'd have seen on previous video that I spent 50 quid or whatever it was on one of these gel seat pads. I can't tell you the difference, it's fantastic. Well, there's a huge difference because I definitely won't be buying the third party seat now. It'll be interesting, like I say, when I head further afield on many of my little tours I have planned, to see how I feel then, whether the gel seat will do the trick for 3 or 4 days, or indeed 2 weeks away on the bike. Maybe I'll come home with an arse like a pie crust. But sure, for now it's worth the 50 quid or whatever. Now I can never really pass this place. You see here, in fact I'm going to pull in just to show you this. I've mentioned this in one of my early videos, but I think it's a fascinating fact. As you can see here, there's a lorry pulling right into my shot. Oh, I drove through shot, that's alright, so I can still carry on talking about it. So back in 1963, this, what I think is a lorry warehouse now, or a lorry depot, this was an old concert hall, and none other than the great old Johnny Cash and June Carter played here in 1963 when they came on a tour of Ireland. It was at the height of their extramarital affairs, and they came over to Ireland to escape the prying eyes and to really cement their affair. So I couldn't quite believe this all happened so close to where I live. But yeah, you can just imagine the crowds from miles around coming here. There you go. Interesting fact of the day. Sorry if I'm making any little sound effects here, but oh, this is just sublime, heavenly. And you know what, when you're not expecting this, because I went to bed last night, checked the weather forecast. I always do when I've got a day off the following day. I always check the weather forecast to see if I can get out on a bike at all, and it's not always the case. And the weather forecast's all over the place at the minute, and said today was going to be pouring down. So what a beautiful surprise this is. Now I just can't find any shops around here which might sell milk. What a shame. I'll find some, don't worry. Can you imagine if I went home and forgot the milk? I'd just have to go back out again. That's not a bad plan. Oh yes, now we're talking. I did a video not too long ago, about 5 things to check on your motorbikes before you head out, and I'll put it as an end card actually at the end of this video in case you haven't seen it. But I did all those checks this morning before I headed out on the FJR 1300, and I'm pleased I did, because the tyre pressures were down considerably. Well, about £5. Well, it was down £5 or 5 psi on the back, and it was down 7 psi on the front tyre. Now, my brake discs were squeaking alright when I was checking the brakes. No huge visible signs of rust, even though obviously I never put ACF 50 on the brake discs. I do wipe them when the bike is in storage. I don't actually have the luxury of a garage. I live on a farm, and I've basically converted an old cow byre into my motorbike shed. So it's not ideal, but you got to work with what you have, and it's just full of condensation, full of moisture, which just isn't brilliant for motorbikes, as you know. Now, there's a little few grooves in the road here as I'm speaking, and the back tyre is just very twitchy. It just wants to sit in them, and I'm sure it's because the back tyre is so squared off. Anyway, back to the shed situation. So yeah, I'm noticing that the discs just feel a little bit rusty and squeaky, but I'm sure after I've been out on a few spins, maybe that'll smooth off. Where are these clouds coming from? Still one of my favourite looking bikes on the road. And being a vlogger, I'm always looking at what next bike I could buy, test ride and take away on spins over the summer coming. But I can honestly say it would kill me to have to get rid of this. And I really, in my heart of hearts, I can't say I would prefer to buy any sports tourer than this. Of course, I'd love the limited edition, the collector's edition, to mark the end of this range, the 2021 version, the black one with gold. Oh, it's absolutely incredible looking. But it's about 20 odd grand here. A lot of loose gravel here. Wow. Let's hope this is the start of things to come. And what better place to pull in next to this little old bus stop and have a little look around the bike, just to see how she's looking. Ah, so there she is, looking as good as ever. Actually needs a bit of polish on her, I'll be honest with you. She's got a good bit of dust after the storage. I don't know if you can see what I mean about the discs. It looks like there's any sort of corrosion on those has come off. But you see all that stuff there on the front forks. You can see, well, I hope you can see on the camera, all the little pitted bits of what eventually would turn into corrosion. It looks like salt pitted. And they were all ACF 50. Just goes to show you can't keep the condensation out, and you certainly can't keep the rust off a bike. You really have to smother it in ACF 50. This is the seat pad I was talking about earlier, the Touratech. What a great job it's doing. I'm really impressed with that. I remember the first time I put it on, I couldn't believe what a great job it's done. And as I'm talking, you see even the little screws there underneath the seat holding the holder on the back. They've gone rusty, as have those bolts under there, and I know fine well that they weren't, because as you all know, I'm very meticulous about my bikes, and I definitely would have spotted that. What was the other thing I was going to show you? Ah yes, the tyres. Bit difficult without something straight or a ruler ideally, but hopefully you can see how flat they've worn, how squared off they are. But as you can see on the sides here, there's still fantastic grip. They really are fantastic. Again, they're the Pilot Road 4s, and I'll be getting exactly the same. They're just so sticky, which was great. Stick to the road like glue. Alright, let's get back on board and go and find some milk. Fantastic brakes on this machine. Forgotten how good they were, but they need to be. It's a bloody heavy bike. So I've just gone around in a big circle really, coming back into my hometown, where I know there's a Tesco's, so I can pick up some milk. Alright, so I'm just going to do that. I'll join you back on the road in a few moments for the end of the video. Excellent, mission accomplished. Okay, well, I'm just approaching home now, folks, so only one thing left to do. You guessed it.
There you go, folks. I bet the kids aren't even awake yet. Oh, I love that. That's probably the second best thing you can do when you wake up in the morning. If you haven't subscribed and liked, please do. I've got fabulous adventures coming to you very, very soon. As soon as we're out of this lockdown. Thanks for watching. All the best. Bye. Honey, I'm home.